it would soon become my pen to tell many of the untold stories of young, gifted kids of color in hopes of a piece of American glory. You see, it's not basketball or football they seek. Any of those can be found on almost any street. Does anyone out there have anything to say? No, this sport is so elite, you gotta pay to play. I was told straight A's and discipline go a long way, but my mom, she can't afford it, even when she knows what's at stake.
This was a really great piece, just inspiring, well put together. I thought it was an interesting cross-section of different youth, all with very similar stories, but all presented very uniquely. It had that great dynamic to it, but there was definitely a thread through all their stories, and I just thought it all came together really well. So again, just really inspiring, great shots. You do look forward to seeing where some of this young talent end up if they pursue it. It's just really great to see the drive and the motivation and just the glimmer in their eyes. They captured all that really well here. It's a sharp little piece. It's definitely worth checking out.
I really enjoyed every moment of This Is My Tennis. I thought it was an extremely important story and brought to light a lot of the inequities that exist in the sport and kind of the barriers that a lot of players have to endure in order to make it in the sport. And I really enjoyed the stylistic choice of making the graphics almost look like a scrapbook, because I thought it gave a really interesting snapshot into each player's lives. And I really appreciated, the diversity and stories that were told, as well as the different kind of geographical areas of the country that it highlighted. And yeah, I thought the footage captured a lot of the excitement of the sport, which I feel like is really important. And I think it's a great first step in creating change in the sport of tennis and in sports in general. And I also really appreciated the way that we got to see where these athletes have gone in the 3 years since filming. I thought that was a really great way to end it, and great job. This is a really impactful film, and congratulations.
I really enjoyed watching This Is My Tennis because it showed me a new perspective on the sport and its financial inaccessibility in particular that I had not considered before. And I think that a lot of people who watch or are fans of tennis are also not aware of. The film did so in a way and drew this criticism of the industry and the way that its tournaments and competition are structured in a way that was positive. And I appreciated that because I think that that is what will help to motivate change. And it showed how this sport, like many other sports, can be such a positive influence on a young person's life and can really contribute toward providing them with opportunities that will shape their future.
This is a fantastic short film. I've played tennis since I was 12, so I was really eager to see this one. I love the structure of the film as it follows the lives of 4 different tennis players over time. I knew that tennis can be an expensive sport at an elite level in competition, but I was shocked to see the actual stats listed in the film. Wow, so expensive. I'm glad to hear that there are organizations being created to help kids afford to play at a high level, such as HJTEP. It was cool to hear that a Black pro player, James Blake, I've seen him play live, was one of the participants of HJTEP. The cinematography and sound design came together really well with the sounds and close-up images of players and their equipment. The use of typed facts were also really helpful and effective in the film. Excellent job.
It was a wonderfully produced documentary. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great piece. A lot of very shocking information that I didn't know. They presented the stats really well. And on top of that, I thought the cinematography was gorgeous. I loved all the shots of the players playing tennis and the stories of the athletes themselves. It was really inspiring to hear about their goals and to see how these are very, very serious athletes despite their age. I thought the introduction was fantastic. I loved the rhyming narrative because it spoke very well to the fact that we are watching something about young people, but it wasn't juvenile, which I appreciated. And actually nothing about this film was juvenile, so that was great. And I thought the epilogue at the end was a fantastic touch. I didn't expect to see these athletes 3 years later, bigger, but still thriving. And I thought it was great. Overall, this was a fantastic documentary, very impactful, and I hope it inspires the change they're looking for.
This short was really well done. It not only was entertaining and beautifully shot, but it was very educational. I was shocked about how much money it cost per year for a junior tennis player to actually be able to play, and then to go to tournaments and get a coach and things like that. It's just, I had no idea that it was that astronomically expensive. I loved a lot of the shots that they did. They did a lot of slow motion shots. There was one particular one where the player Donovan was sliding to get the ball, and you just see him kind of slide into frame, and it's this gorgeous shot that they did. It was really beautiful. The other thing that I loved about it was you go through the entire short film with all of these tennis players, and you start learning about them and learning about how they got started with the game, their love for the game, and what their goals were. But then you had the epilogue at the end, which it really put such a beautiful bow on the whole film, because you got to go back and find out a couple years later what each player was up to, what they were doing, how they were doing, and I loved that about this.
This was such a great piece. I thought it was a really fantastic idea to speak to the perspectives of minorities in the sport, because historically tennis is an extremely white dominated sport, and what does that mean for accessibility for non-white players? There are, as we learned, a lot of barriers into getting into tennis. It's extremely expensive. And I was really surprised to learn the one fact, which was that even if a player won most of their tournaments, they would still have trouble even just breaking even with their costs. So that was just really shocking to me, which just goes to show you that, you know, if you are not upper middle class or higher, this really isn't accessible to you because of the insane costs to get started. I think they said less than 10% of players are in minority groups, which is just far too low. Creatively, I thought that it was really well done. I like how they kind of separated each of the players and gave them their own time to shine. I thought that the action shots, especially when they did the slow-mo of them in action, was just amazing. I was like, man, how do they like stretch without, how do they not break their ankle doing that, like sliding at that angle? And it was just really inspiring to see such young, motivated players not letting those barriers and obstacles hold them back. And I also thought it was awesome that at the end, we kind of got that 3-year update of where are they now. So this was really awesome and inspiring, and I hope that it sparks more young players to get into the sport, because there are things in place to try and change the landscape of the sport to make it more accessible. So I very much hope that if they're interested, they can find those pathways and avenues to get in, because clearly there's so many benefits to playing it. And I can't wait to see all these kids on my TV screens one day.